Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So, electric bikes are in trouble. I want to talk about that, but first let's get the caveats out of the way. Whenever you talk about electric bikes, it always ends up being a discussion about politics and conspiracies, false information and all sorts of stuff that I'm just not interested in talking about. I have talked about electric bikes extensively. I've talked about the science. I made a 30-minute video talking about the physics of why synthetic fuels are not as good as electric. I've talked about lithium mining and all of the stuff. I'm not just saying these things with no knowledge in the thing at all. I know about these things, but I still can review an electric bike and like it. It can still be incredibly expensive, and I can still like it. So there is so much that can be unpacked on this, and I just hope it's not going to just completely derail sideways away from what I actually want to talk about. So, electric motorcycles seem to be in trouble. They are not doing well sales-wise in the UK. I mean, I know the motorcycle industry as a whole in the UK is doing pretty badly, but obviously electric motorcycles are going to be the canary in the mine of that, because they're very new, they're very expensive. That doesn't mean they're overly expensive. People just don't want to accept that there is a difference between something that is expensive and something that's overpriced. It's expensive because of what it is. It's expensive because of how new a technology it is. And I'll get onto that because some of the most expensive bikes I've ever ridden aren't being made anymore. My God, it is windy. So yes, electric bikes compared to petrols are very expensive, and they don't do as many miles and all these sorts of things. And people want to compare them, you know, oh, well, if this brand new electric bike that's only been out so much time isn't as good as this, you know, internal combustion engine bike which has been developed for over 100 years, why are they not as good? Why? It's like, come on, man. You're playing dumb at this point. I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying it's a solution to the future. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying the price is the price because of what it needs to be. They're not like they're making the bikes and marking them up massively, as you will see, as I'm about to go into. So Energica, the people who make, you know, the Eva Rebelli and the Xperia that I have reviewed and absolutely loved, have gone into bankruptcy. And I'm not surprised they've gone into bankruptcy because the bikes are so expensive. That's not necessarily overpriced, they're just expensive. And when it's a 28k, 30k bike, and it can't do as many things as a normal petrol bike, and you've already got this like whole thing of people not liking electrics, and there's a whole social stigmatism around them, and if you're in a group of mates and you go and buy an electric because you like one, you might get shunned by them and you're not riding with us and all that sort of stupid childish crap that I hear from people. I can understand why they're not doing well, and why, as I say, they're like the canary in the mine of the motorcycle industry. Nothing's doing well, but they're going to be on the bleeding edge, and I really hope that's not oil. If you look at the lower CC equivalent electrics, the 125s, the 50s, those sorts of things, actually the 50s not so much, the 125s, they are doing great. But unfortunately, if you want one with a decent range, it's 12 grand, and that's just way too much for an equivalent 125 electric. And then you got things like Zero. Zero makes some fantastic bikes. I've loved some Zeros. What was it? The SRF, I think I had. One of my favourite bikes I've ever ridden for handling and the way that thing felt. But Zero have been doing some subscription system stuff, which people have really, really gone after them for, which I do think is in ways fair enough. However, they're also doing this while forgetting the fact that KTM and other companies have done this for years. But some of the ones with Zero did seem a little bit egregious, so I hope they get away from that, because that's putting people off the whole idea as well. The government is also not helping electric bikes because, you know, they were giving people subsidies, they were giving people like grants. If you sell your petrol bike and buy this electric one, we'll give you 1,500 quid off the price or something like that. They have stopped doing that. They are also going to start taxing electric vehicles, to my understanding, when the whole point of tax on vehicles is about emissions, and the whole point of pushing people to get electric cars is to reduce emissions. If you're still going to charge the people who apparently are doing everything within their power to not produce emissions, why would they go after it? It just doesn't make any sense. You may notice I haven't reviewed an electric bike for quite a long time. I can't get bikes from English Electric anymore. They're still going, but they've had to sort of pull back a little bit, and taking bikes to people around the country isn't a thing they're doing at the moment, which is, I totally understand it. If you're watching this, dude, this is nothing aimed at you. I totally get why you did that, and I hope things pick up enough that we can, get back to doing stuff again, but I totally get why you did that. It's nothing personal. I'm with you, I get it. I run a business. You're a good dude. English Electric, really like the people. They do seem to really care about the whole thing. So they're also showing a sign of like things aren't going so amazingly. Electric cars seem to be doing great in the UK. I mean, around where I live, I might see, I remember years ago seeing 1 or 2 electric cars and being like, wow. Now, maybe 30% of the cars around here are electric, maybe slightly more at times, it seems. I mean, yes, we do have an aging population. They do like to get leased cars, and an electric works out perfect for them because they charge you once a week and then they poodle around to the shops, and it works out great for them. Less maintenance and all that sort of stuff, but they're on lease anyway, so But I do actually think it is a real shame, because I really like electric bikes. I think they offer something that petrols don't. Yes, petrols give you something electrics don't, but electrics give you something that petrols don't, and I've talked about this in lots of my reviews. You can watch, I've got a playlist, in fact, for my electric vehicle reviews and all the videos I've done talking about electrics. As I say, I know people are going to spout off in the comments about science and this and that and blah 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 blah. And if I've answered that substantially in those videos, I'm just going to ignore those comments, because I can't spend my life saying the same thing again and again and again and again. I did this in the past with Chinese bikes, if you remember. I had spent my entire life being told that Chinese bikes are crap and they were not going to go anywhere and blah blah blah. Yet now all the Japanese companies and lots of the other companies are making their bikes in China. There are no 125s made in Japan, and the Chinese bikes are winning over. Yes, they have more problems because they are much cheaper, but they are cheaper and people are buying them because they are skint, which is the same reason the motorcycle industry is in trouble, which is the same reason why electric bikes are in trouble, and it is the same reason why all of these new bikes that are coming out from all the companies are being really pushed at the fact that there's only 11 grand, it's only 12 grand. Because, and this is where I was wrong in the past, I said Euro 6 was going to make bikes a lot more expensive. Maybe it won't, because Euro 5.5 seems to have made bikes cheaper, because the companies have realised we can't keep pushing the costs onto the people and keep our profit margins the same, because then we're going to stop selling bikes and then our margins, our overall profits drop. So we need to reduce our profits, get the bike industry going again, get people with money into it, and it'll gain again, and then Euro 6 will come in and then they'll absolutely nail you with the prices. So my video might still stand straight, who knows, we'll find out when Euro 6 comes out. However, as I say, it's very interesting that as I'm talking about electric bikes and a struggle in the motorcycle industry, you've got the companies actually reducing the cost of their flagship bikes by producing something that is less than, like with the R9, 12.5 grand, massively more expensive than the R1, which was the top bike which people always wanted in the past. You can still get an R1, but you can only get it on as a track bike in this country. So I don't necessarily think that electric bikes struggling at the moment is a definite sign that is the electrics that just don't work and no one wants them, because other bikes, are having problems right now. But I do think, I am starting to wonder if this whole idea of, internal combustion engine, at least motorcycles, no longer being produced after 2035 or whatever, or 2030 or 2035, whichever it is that we're going to decide on, which is going backwards and forwards on multiple times. I don't know if I see that happening anymore, at least at the dates that they're suggesting. It's getting closer and closer and closer. We've been talking about it for years. We do have better bikes, but the best ones out there, the ones that were actually starting to get close to competing with a £1,000 600cc bike, were £30,000 and didn't have a range quite the same, and you needed to recharge it for half an hour rather than refilling it. You could also bring in the argument that buying that old 600 might actually be better for the environment overall than the creation of an electric bike. That's a very, very, very difficult one to work out the maths on, because you know, you take into account all the mining and all the stuff you're going to talk about with that, blah, 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 blah. Or even though a very, very small amount of the material in a battery is lithium, it's mostly nickel, and, well, nickel's very difficult to get rid of anyway, get a hold of anyway. It's actually more of a problem. But then you have to counter the fact that it doesn't use engine oil, it doesn't have constant engine oil changes, it doesn't have all that in, you know, all the maintenance stuff that you have with a normal petrol as much. And they can recycle lithium-ion batteries if they're large enough. So, you know, we're getting to a point where it's looking a lot more sustainable to actually have electrics. But I'm not sure. You know, I've said for years that that's the date they've given, and I fully believe they will do it. I don't know if I fully believe they will do it. It would be really damaging, I think, in 2024. I mean, it is nearly 10 years. It is nearly 10 years, but we're not going in the right direction with these things. There isn't new electric brands coming out that are, you know, producing something that's good and cheap. Like, if they brought out a bike which was a similar sort of, you know, performance and range and stuff to the Energica Xperia, but it was half the price, you're still having an argument with people, because it's 15 grand roughly, or a bit less than that depending on what the final price is. But you're still talking now a lot more than like flagship R9 from Yamaha. If you work in the industry at all, you've got more to add, please do that. As I say, I do know if you've just got the general opinion of electric bikes that you don't like them and you think they're pointless and etc, etc, that's fine. I want to have an actual discussion about the issue, and that is why I'm not saying they're the best thing in the world, but I did enjoy them, and it is kind of sad to see they are struggling. Anyway, like the video, I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to help support me, please consider doing that through Patreon or YouTube memberships. I will be looking to do electric bike reviews in the future if I can, but getting a hold of them is going to be difficult. But I do have some connections with Zero directly, but again, I have reservations with Zero because of the subscription system stuff. Till the next one. Just injecting this here because this is a point I completely forgot to make while making this video. With Energica going bust, I don't know what's going to happen for the customers who own the current bikes. I don't know about warranty. I don't know about future parts, things like getting batteries in the future. You know, has someone who has just gone and bought a 28, 30 grand bike now got a serious problem? I don't know. I don't know if someone's going to buy them out or something like that. It does happen, but it's a bad situation, and I just hope that it works out best for everyone in the long run.